Hey friend, Roger Christofferson here again with another First Listen review. It's been a little while since I've done one of these. I actually had a whole bunch of stuff planned for the beginning of the year I was going to do. Had a ton of albums that came out that I wanted to talk about, and I got super sick. Lost my hearing for about 6 weeks. Got over that. Lost my voice for a couple weeks. During all that, I was involved in a project where I was recording a bunch of songs in the studio, and let me tell you, that was quite an experience, recording without being able to hear much of anything. That was wonderful. And then I got involved with another band, so I've been super busy, but at least I can listen to albums and hear them properly again, and got a little time here to talk about some of the stuff I've been listening to. And like I've always said, I do this for fun, and I just had so much going on that, I was getting kind of to the point where I was missing this. So I want to get back to talking about new stuff and old stuff and all the stuff I've been posting. And I've just said stuff about 3 or 4 times in a row, which I'm sure is irritating everybody at this point. So we're just going to get to it. I started doing the reviews on a regular basis with the Def Leppard album last year of Diamond Star Halos. And I thought, you know what? I just got the new Def Leppard Drastic Symphonies, and I thought, well, you know what? That's a pretty good one to get back into this again. So I just got done listening to this one actually last night, and I've had a chance to digest it a little bit, and I honestly didn't know exactly what it was until I got it. Supposed to get it Friday, pre-ordered it, and didn't show up until Sunday. And I got my whole $1 refund from that, so that's cool. But anyway, getting right into it, I guess what this actually is their record company wanted them to do an album again, like a greatest hits type thing. And instead of just doing regular old greatest hits, they decided to take a bunch of songs from their catalog and not just add an orchestra over the top of it, but completely start from scratch with the recordings and kind of work the orchestra, write parts, and then work the rest of it around that. And a lot of the cases not using any of the old the music at all. And in some cases, I guess Joe came in and sang some parts. And then there's one song that's I don't think they used any of the original. I know they didn't use any of the original because it's completely different, and we'll get to that in a minute. But now that I've had a little bit of time to let it sink in, just going to kind of run down through it really quick. I'm not going to it's a super long one, but I thought the tracks were super interesting. They started with "Turn to Dust." That album, or that song, was off that album. Slang. Jeez, holy cow! Just drew a blank there. Which was not a lot of people's favorites. They kind of changed the recording style on that one. Kind of went more acoustic with things, not as highly produced as a lot of their albums. But this song, "Turn to Dust," it's fit perfect with the orchestra. It's got kind of that Middle Eastern type feel to it, and the orchestra worked really well with that. And then the second one on here, "Paper Sun," is where I really started to notice Rick Savage's bass playing. On the songs they use him, because they don't use him on everything, unfortunately. The bass playing really stands out. It's mixes well, in this album, and I noticed he used the bass parts that I'd never noticed before, and this was the first time it actually stuck out to me. I was like, wow, he actually has some really cool stuff that I'd never even noticed before. And those first 2 ones are full, really sounding songs, and this is the kind of the point where it starts to back off a little bit. I'd actually heard Animal and Hysteria on YouTube or whatever, so I kind of knew what these sounded like. And they're kind of stripped back versions of the song, a little bit more laid back. And, they took a lot of the guitar parts out and replaced it with orchestral parts. But I thought it worked pretty good. The one thing I kind of didn't notice until I got a really close listen to it is the background vocals mixed with the orchestra. They're so processed that it kind of clashed a little bit on this particular one. I noticed that. And then the one song, this is such a weird song, is the "Pour Some Sugar on Me" version on here. It's so strange. It's really stripped down, which, we all know what that song is. It's not a stripped down song. There's a pianist on here called M. Greiner. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And she also sings like the whole song with Joe Elliott on this one, but this is like stripped back, slowed down. It's the arrangement, I guess, was done by M, and which is EMM. It's not just an initial; it's actually her name, who I'm assuming is part of the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. I really don't know, but I don't even know how to explain this. It poured some sugar on me into this beautiful, like, touching ballad, which is weird because the lyrics of the song are like, they're ridiculous. We all know the song. It's not a touching, moving lyric. I mean, we know what the song was. I mean, Joel Elliott admitted that the song was like, the strippers dancing to the song is what really put the song over the top. So, it's just like weird. It's like I wish that there was better words to this version of the song that made it like actually emotional, because it's like clashes. It's very strange. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Feel free to weigh in, tear me apart on that one if you disagree, but it's so strange that I don't know how else to put it. But anyway, then my favorite, Def Leppard song is Hysteria. That's next on here. Also kind of a stripped back version of it, but I'd heard it before and I actually liked it when I'd heard it, and I knew what this was all about. The one I found really interesting was Love Bites, which, is extremely, every song on Hysteria is like really produced. We all know that. Mutt Lange is like this mega producer. Everything's super tight, extremely produced background vocals and processed and all that stuff. So hearing these songs stripped back and with an orchestra was kind of cool. And this one, I thought it worked well with. Now the next two, Goodbye, For Good This Time, off the newest album, Love, which I actually forget which album that was off on. I think it was The Sparkling Lounge, but I might be wrong. And then those two there, is where I kind of like, I actually found myself not paying quite as close attention to these two songs, very stripped back versions. I'm not sure if we really needed a version of the song that was on an album that came out a year ago already, but whatever, that's their choice. They were just okay. But Gods of War is the next song on here, and I tell you what, the one thing I've really noticed at this point is that the songs that have like most of the band playing with it, and drums and bass and all the full vocals all mixed with the orchestra, they actually took out some of the guitar still, mixed in with replaced with orchestral parts. I thought it worked great on this song. I mean, this version of the song I actually think I like better than what's on Hysteria. And the songs that they did that with on this album, I think, are the best sounding songs, the best choice. I think some of these other songs, that if they had worked them out that way, this would have been like almost a 10. I wanted to say it is a 10, but it was almost, I'd say it would be almost a 10 if they had done that with the rest of the songs. So I really enjoyed that one. Angels, Can't Help You Now is the next song on there, also off the last album. I didn't care for the version on, it was okay. Not ever going to be one of my favorite Def Leppard songs. Didn't really need to be on here. I didn't really need to hear that song done orchestrally, and I'll probably skip that one if I listen to it again. And then the interesting ones from this point on, I thought everything from this point on was really good, but Bringing On the Heartbreak, it was kind of strange because this is an older recording, and they brought in, the old parts, and Pete Willis and Steve Clark playing their guitar parts with orchestral and young Joe singing. It was strange hearing that mixed with it, but I still liked it. I really enjoyed the version of here. It was strange after hearing all the newer stuff, the newer production and stuff, going back to this, which wasn't quite as produced as the newer stuff is. If that makes making any sense there at all, but you could hear that it was a little bit of an older recording on this one, and it mixed a little differently, but still enjoyable to listen to. Which went right into Switch 625. The only instrumental, on the album that I can't even think of another instrumental off the top of my head that they do, but they might. And if I'm forgetting it, please remind me in the comments. I can't think of any other instrumentals that they do, but could be wrong. But I thought this was really good, and it's short and sweet, but really worked really well with the orchestra. And then it goes into Too Late for Love, also an older song, but I guess Joe went in and did some harmonies with this. I couldn't really tell, as much that this was older. I think some of the leads, or maybe all of it, vocals were redone. I actually had a hard time telling, so they did get a job with that one. If it is newer or older, I really had a hard time telling the difference. So they did a good job with that one anyway. And then when Love and Hate Collide, it's the next song, a great ballad, produced really well, worked really well with the ballad, or the orchestra. And they ended with Kings of the World, which is kind of a odd song that was off Mirror Ball. Is that the name of the album? That they did a few years ago, and ended up on a high note. Not a super powerful ending to it, like a well-known song, but I thought it was a good way to end the album. 15 songs. It was quite a listen, but overall, I'd have to say I enjoyed it. I'd probably give this like a 7 out of 10, only because I thought there was a lot more slower stuff on there. I thought, in my opinion, they could have used some more of the the tracks, the guitar parts, and more drums and bass on some of the songs. I don't think they have to take that completely out just for the orchestral part of it. I thought it given it a little bit more energy instead of just making it orchestral on a lot of these songs. Like the ones that they mixed the band with, really great. Like High Points, the first two, Turn to Dust, Paper Sun, Hysteria was good, Animal was okay, Love Bites is good, Gods of War kicked butt, and then from that point on, the back half of the album was okay. I'll probably listen to this again. I enjoyed it. It's not like one of these things I'm going to tuck away and never listen to again. I actually really enjoyed it. So, feel free to, comment below what your opinions are of this, what anybody thinks of it. I think, there's a lot of bands that are trying this orchestral type thing, and that some of them just throw it in and add parts. I thought this was a very interesting way of going about it and trying to do an album. So kudos to them for giving it a go. A lot of hits on here. There's only a couple misses. And, like I said, everybody's opinion's going to differ. So that's that. I got nothing else to add to this one. So I think I went on long enough for my first one back. So maybe I'll keep a few more going. I got a ton of albums, tons and tons and tons. I'm actually really upset over the ones that I wanted to talk about. One little shout out that I do was way back in January, Vilo Valo came out with an album that I could not stop listening to. Never had I listened to Him before, the band Him, because the satanic imagery had kind of turned me off to even wanting to listen to it. But this is nothing like that at all. I've heard some of their songs before, and I love his vocals, I love his style, the songs. That was such a unique album. I know it's way back in January, but I haven't heard anything about it on the radio. I never hear people talking about that album. Great album. So anyway, that's one highlight of the past year that I was really bummed I didn't get to talk about that one. But if you get a chance, go check out that album and check out Def Leppard. Def Leppard's one of my favorite bands, has been since I was a kid. So I'm not dogging on these guys at all, even if I said some things that may be negative. I love these guys. It's actually inspired a lot of the songwriting I do and the bands that I played in. That style of music is I love it. It's heavy and it's melodic at the same time. It's really the kind of stuff I enjoy doing myself. So anyway, enough of that. Like I always say, subscribe, share, all that stuff helps. I see there's actually people still subscribing as I was taking the break, so that's awesome. I try to get to the comments that I missed because I really hadn't paid any attention to that, and I apologize for that. I'm going to try to keep a little better eye on things and keep this a little bit more current instead of going months without talking to you guys, because I was having a lot of fun with it, and now that I'm back on track with things, I plan on doing that. So appreciate everything. Put all the comments and the new subscriptions and all that stuff. It's awesome just having fun talking about music again. So talk to you guys later. See you.